everyone, and welcome to today's power session with KrispCall. I'm Swastika Timsina, and I serve here as a growth marketing manager, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. And thank you for taking time to join us today. And as you already know, today we are discussing the topic that is becoming very popular in every industry: AI-powered phone for businesses, business calls, adding value to every conversation. Since business calls are something every organization relies on, we do know what they do and why we use it. And businesses primarily use it to streamline operations, to close deals and sales, offer business support, resolve customer issues, and build long-term relationships. So business conversation are not a new thing anymore, and it's already happening and even already carries a certain value proposition. But in many cases, those conversations are not adapting to the outcomes we expect. So follow-ups get delayed and important details gets missed, and the value of that interaction does not fully carry forward. So this webinar aims to focus on topics around similar context and how businesses can simply power those interactions with AI that's built right inside their business phone. So before we get into that, let me introduce you all to our speaker for today. Joining us for the webinar. So today we have Tapish Adhikari, who is a product owner at KrispCall. Tapish works very closely on building and shaping how modern business calling system operate and operate into everyday business workflow. So, hello Tapish. Can you tell our audience in brief about our agenda today?
Yeah, sure, Swastika. First of all, thank you everyone for taking time to join us today. As you already mentioned, the goal of this session is to bring more value to business conversations using AI. And to do that, we will walk through this in the most simple and practical way possible. So we'll start by looking at how business calls actually contribute to growth and where the value often gets lost along the way. Then we'll explore what's preventing customers from consistently delivering the outcome businesses in that aspects, and from there we'll see what really changes and when AI becomes part of these interactions, and both in call and messaging. And finally, we can walk through how KrispCall helps businesses capture value from every single customer conversations.
And also, we'll stop for a short Q&A session at the end. We have already collected few FAQs from the audience during our registrations, and though the session covers it mostly, we'll still be answering them for our audience through you.
Yes, we can do that.
So with that, let's start by setting the context a bit. When we look at business conversation today, whether it's calls, SMS, or even the entire journey from the first interactions to follow-ups and after-sales support, they clearly play a major role in driving growth. But at the same time, there seems to be a gap between conversations happening and value actually being carried forward. So, Tapis, from your perspective, how do business conversations today contribute to growth, and where do you see that value starting to drop or get lost?
And I think you have already touched on something really important there. Like business calls and messages are nothing new. Every company is already using them to interact with customers, to build a relationship and to move things forward. So conversations are already contributing to growth, and they help close deals and resolve issues and maintaining ongoing customer relationships. But where things start to break down is what happens after the first conversation, all the way through to the follow-ups. Because most of the phone systems that businesses rely on today are simply outdated for what modern businesses actually need. And because of these limitations, there is no structured way to carry the conversation's value forward. So, due to which important details stay stuck with the person who handled the call, follow-ups, then depend on how much someone can remember and how much time they are willing to spend manually logging everything.
Right. So the conversation itself is and always remains valuable, but that value does not match the necessity or extend beyond unless the system and tools support the operations that businesses relies on. Right?
Yeah, exactly. The interaction does happen, but outcome really depends on how much value business is able to capture from it. And that's where we start to see drops in consistency, efficiency, and overall productivity. But because now teams end up repeating the same work, follow-ups get delayed, and sometimes opportunity are simply missed. What I'm trying to say is, it's not that the conversations aren't happening or that they aren't useful. It's the system around those conversations that isn't strong enough to retain and build on that value.
That makes a lot of sense. And so essentially, businesses are already putting in the effort, but the tools limitation in meeting their modern needs definitely stops businesses from having the right conversations, and the value from those interactions is limited to errors and additional load. And I think that sets up an important question for the next part. If conversations are this important and they are already driving so much of the businesses, then what should they actually deliver? Because clearly there is effort, there is interaction, there is intent, but the outcomes are not always consistent. So, Tapis, from your perspective, what should a business actually expect after a call or customer interaction?
That's a great question, and honestly, this is where the real shift need to happen. Because traditionally businesses focus on solving problems, not on the customer experience. No matter how long it took to understand the customer, no matter how many times a customer had to repeat their queries or details, problem solving mattered the most. But now in modern businesses, while problem solving still matters, customer relationship matter just as much. Businesses have advanced, and so have the customers' expectations. Long hold times, endless transfers, call without context. That's where the frustration begins, and these are often the reasons for the customer getting churned. So traditionally, calls were treated as something that just need to happen. You connect, you talk, you move on. But from a business standpoint, that's just not enough anymore. What happened during call, the history of every interactions, organized and transparent conversations. These have now become a necessity. Only then the calls produce a preferable outcome. Like for example, after a call, a business should ideally have caller's information and the reason for the call, the recorded conversations, supporting messages before and after the call, and key information captured, decisions made during the calls and the conversations, clear next step to act on immediately. So instead of just being a conversation with this approach, every interaction with the customer becomes a task, a decision point, and a trigger for the next action.
Right, and this slight shift already makes phone interaction more than just communications, and it starts shaping them into something the business can actually act on.
Exactly, because that's what actually drives outcomes. But the challenge is most businesses are still not set up that way, even with the shift in priorities, phone interactions, and the output-oriented tasks still face a lot of complications. The outcome of a conversation depend highly on the person handling it, how much they remember after the conversation ends, or whether they take a note, update logs in the spreadsheets, or even if there is a recording, it usually buried somewhere in the separate systems. And starting the follow-up, it's just another hassle. If the same agent is there for a follow-up, they might remember bits and pieces. Otherwise, it's a single. It's like a struggle to drive the outcomes that businesses expect. Data is scattered across separate systems. Information flow remains trapped in a single person, and it's not just one conversation that gets affected. It's like a chain reaction. Delay in conversations already impacts the schedule for the next. And it's not because anyone lacks intent, it's because the process really relies on human memory and consistent manual effort to maintain the results in the system are inconsistent.
So the real limitation here is not the conversation itself. It's the fact that we are relying on manual efforts and inconsistent system to carry the value forward. And most importantly, most conversations to consistently drive business outcomes to move from something people manage manually and to something the system supports reliably.
Exactly, from human memory to system reliability, that's the key transition. And because once that happens, every conversation can consistently produce value without depending on who handled it or how it was managed.
That's really an important point we've discussed. So, if the challenge today is moving from human effort to system reliability, the next question clearly becomes what actually enables that shift, and how do business conversations transform after the shift? If we can explore that, Tapish.
Yeah, sure. But before that, it's really important to understand how much business phone have advanced over the time. Because this shift didn't happen overnight, and still relying on the inconsistent system means the businesses are far behind more than they realize. The first turning point for business phones was when they adapted to UIP technology. And after that, there is no turning back, and more people can use the same phone. Conversation have become transparent and centralized and organized. Multiple phone lines work virtually on the same platform. Call recordings are automated and instantly accessible. And with the AI rush in recent years, it's already shaping how conversation can be more efficient and more promising. So now businesses can focus on their effort on acquiring the value they have already desired, more customer relationships and better customer relationships.
Right, and none of it would have been possible if the phone system had not shifted to VoIP and to where the market is today. Transparency in their phone activities is what the businesses needs most today. But the capabilities that business phone apps already bring call management and unified phone space that can be used and accessed from anywhere. And now there is AI. So, Topis, maybe let's focus little bit more on the role that AI plays and the transition it's capable of bringing.
Sure, sure. What AI is doing now is accelerating the entire processes, but not stopping there. It's drastically reducing the human effort also. So before AI, businesses relied on call recordings, and even that was a great relief. But people still had to listen to them. Now AI does it for them, and the call summary is ready in just a few clicks. And it's not just a call. Take SMS for example. Your business get hundreds of messages every day. Macros help with repeated queries, but now AI can prepare responses for you, tailored to the right tone and exactly how you need them. AI in business phone is now thinking and listening for you, and so businesses can save more time and act accurately with confidence.
That's a powerful way to put it. And AI-powered phones are not just solving the manual admin tasks, they have started to reduce the mental load the businesses had to bear to build better relationships. So it still brings tailored output, adding value to every conversation businesses have, right?
Yes, yes. Making conversations, storing them, and organizing them, and actively helping the business get value out of them effortlessly.
That really brings everything together. So now that we understand how AI is changing the way business conversation work, the next question becomes, what does this actually look like in day-to-day business workflows? And most importantly, how can businesses start applying this in a practical use case? So Tapis, can we take this forward with KrispCall? Answering where, how, and when businesses can simplify their task using AI features in KrispCall, and of course add value to their daily call activities.
Yeah, of course, Swastika. Everything we discussed so far about capturing conversations, reducing effort, and driving outcomes, it can all wrap up inside one single phone app, and that's KrispCall. The AI-powered phone, it's built for the modern businesses, and KrispCall brings AI directly into your everyday calling and messaging workflow. And let's say you purchase a VIP phone number with KrispCall, and the same number can now access a built-in AI features of KrispCall instantly, and the same number can be used to organize and manage by every member of your business. This keeps every workflow transparent and automated. So now even when you randomly pick any conversation on that number, you can continue conversations with customer without additional effort, because KrispCall has two powerful built-in into its call box, two powerful AI features built into its call box. One is AI assist, and another one is call transcription and summaries.
So just a second, Tapis, I stopped you right there. So businesses could already continue conversation effortlessly in KrispCall. So before the AI, if I'm correct.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's true. Even before AI, when we randomly entered conversations, we could filter out SMS, MMS, and calls, access auto-recorded calls, clearly understand customer behavior and needs with notes and tags, and prepare the pitch for the calls or SMS. And as we have explained earlier, that shift that AI brings even saves time on these processes. Call transcription and summaries tell you what went on the call without hearing it. And there is AI assist. If you are blank on what to respond to the conversations, it suggests several variations based on the past conversations that has gone on so far. So it's like you don't even have to go through all the SMS that were sent and received before, and those suggestions can further be toned and tailored as you like, or rather or after understanding the customer behavior, something like shortening the message, or elaborating it into a longer sentence, or make it sound friendly or professional.
Yes, and that's what we had to make our audiences understand what AI-powered phone system like the KrispCall phone app delivers for your business, and it's less effort for the teams, faster and more reliable support and follow process better visibility across entire business, and more consistent customer experience.
And that's how every conversation start contributing real value to business, not occasionally but consistently.
That's in fact a very practical way to put it, and it really shows how conversations can move beyond regular interactions and become something the business can rely on to drive meaningful outcomes, right? So now, before wrapping up, we'll move into a short Q&A session. As mentioned earlier, we gather a few questions during the invitation, our registration processes, and while we have already covered most of these questions during our session, it would be great to hear the answers directly from you, Tapis. So, Tapis, are you ready for the questions?
Yeah, sure, sure, let's do it.
Okay, so starting with the first one, how can I start using AI in my calling workflow without disrupting my existing business process?
Mhm. So that's actually one of the biggest concerns holding businesses back. They want to stay on the latest phone system, but can't give up on their existing number presence. And the answer is they don't have to start from scratch, and they can simply port all of their business lines to the Critical Phone app and continue using fund process with advanced tools and AI features without hampering any of their existing workflow.
Yes, and porting definitely makes it much easier to adopt, right? And moving to the next question, and it says, what kind of impact should my business expect after implementing AI in phone interactions?
This answer pretty much wraps up our entire webinar. So here it is. Ideally, the impact is usually seen in three key areas. Like first is efficiency. The team spend less time on manual tasks and like note taking and message drafting. Second follows consistency, like every conversation is captured, structured, and has made it more easier to follow up. The third one is its customer experience because responses become faster, personalized, and more accurate and more context driven. So overall, businesses start seeing conversations not just as an interactions but as something they consistently drives outcomes.
That's very insightful. And to end the Q&A, here's the last question of the session. Is AI planning to replace the human touch in customer conversations?
This sounds quite interesting. It really depends on how businesses choose to use it. Like just understand it as AI is one is like AI is not here to replace the human interactions. It's here to support it. So the idea is to reduce the effort behind managing conversations, not remove the human involvement from them. With solutions like your phone app, even if AI is assisting or handling the interactions, the team can always step in, guide, or take control whenever they need it. So it's more about creating the balance where AI handles the repetitive work and humans focus on building better business and better customer relationships.
That's great. And thank you for addressing those questions so clearly. And with that, we've clearly come to the end of today's power session. And to wrap up, in this webinar, we explored how business calls are already central to growth, but without the right system in place, a lot of that value is often lost. So that's why we looked at how the role of conversations is evolving, and from just interactions to something that should consistently deliver outcomes, and finally clarified how AI powered phone apps like KrispCall helps businesses add that value in every conversation. So through better structure, reduced effort, and more reliable support and follow-ups. So, Tapis, before we close, would you like to share any final thoughts or key takeaways for our audiences?
Yes, I would like to put forth something. So businesses should look at it as they are already using phones in their day-to-day work, and even they already follow the right path to bring in outcomes, like to right path to bring in the outcomes. But without the right system and AI support, they won't be able to match the speed their market currently moves in. So that's where the real value is, and speed, consistency, and reliability. And you can add it all in your conversations with the KrispCall AI powered phone app.
And thank you, Tapis, for sharing your insights with us today. And since we're at the end of the session, thank you to everyone who joined us today and made it successful one. If you'd like to schedule a call to discuss it further for your specific business, you can book a free demo at KrispCall.com, or you can always connect with our support team anytime through our 24/7 live chat, support at KrispCall.com. Once again, thank you for your time. Keep exploring Chris Call.